Hi, thanks for joining me. I am Susan, and welcome to your yoga practice for today. Today's class is going to focus on a sequence specifically for seniors with osteoporosis, but it's really great for anyone. We're going to do a relatively strong standing leg practice, right? We all know that, a little bit of stress and grounding is good for the joints. And I hope you enjoy the class. Grab yourself a couple of blankets or a cushion, something like that. We'll be doing a supported pose. And you might also, if you have yoga blocks, go ahead and grab your yoga blocks. You might like those for some of the standing postures. All right. We'll begin with just taking a comfortable seat. I have a reading I'd like to share this morning from a book called Ocean of Yoga. Wonderful little book with a lot of great meditations and readings in it. So as you settle yourself in, you can rest the hands either on the thighs or in the lap. Let's take a full deep breath in together. And as you exhale, sigh it out. And let's take another full deep breath in. And sigh it out. Let the lips softly close. If it's comfortable, turn your gaze down and then close the eyes. Just allowing yourself an opportunity to tune in, to arrive. And as you tune in, what are you noticing today? What's there underneath the surface? Scanning the physical body, head to toe, maybe at first tuning into your connection with the earth, with grounding, and then just noticing anything else that comes up, whether it's sensation, emotions, thoughts. Just tuning into the overall feeling tone of being you in this moment. And as we move through our practice today, please remember to use this body, the one that rolled out your mat this morning or this afternoon or whenever you're having this practice. Right? Not the person in the body that maybe you had last week or even last year, or maybe the one you're working for in the future, but this body. Let your awareness now just softly rest with your breath. Watching the breath as it moves in and out. If you'd like, you may organize the breath a bit, maybe shifting into a nice even paced breath. Inhaling about 4 or 5 counts, exhaling. If you know Ujjayi breathing, you can settle into that as well. The reading I'll share today is titled Surface versus Depth. The surface of the sea dances in sunlight, the flowing waves glittering like jewels. The same surface on a cloudy day may turn a dull gray. Regardless of the shifts in weather, the appearance of the surface may not match the contents of the sea. A sparkling surface may belay toxins and debris floating beneath. A slate gray surface may obscure treasures below. The presence of bright and yellow, blue fish or large sea turtles moving in a relaxed underwater ballet may be hidden from sight. Similarly, there's a surface of every asana, every posture. And then there are the varying layers of depth of the pose. A pose that may gleam on the surface in terms of looking beautiful and correct, may not be the full pose if, for instance, the breathing is not full and deep, or if the mind is elsewhere or has become a stormy sea. Conversely, a pose that is far from picture perfect may harbor the treasure of authentic practice if body, breath, and consciousness are working together. What is the texture and appearance of the surface of this moment? Are you ready to breathe into what exists beneath? As we move through our practice today, just remember that yoga is an inside job. It's not necessarily about what we see on the outside. It's more about the work that you do inside. So as we're moving through our postures or holding postures today, stay tuned into not only the look, the outer shape of the body, but stay tuned into the inner work. Notice the breath in each posture. Notice what the mind is doing. And maybe you'd like to set an intention that reminds you of that. Something that allows you to stay present or to tune back into the present moment when you notice that maybe you're not here anymore. Let's let your eyes blink open. And we're going to get right to work today. So everyone come all the way up to stand, please. If you have anything on your mat that you were using, you can just set that off to the side for now. And come to stand all the way up at the top of your mat, please. And we'll begin in Tadasana, or mountain pose. So feet will be about hips distance apart. Heels underneath your knees, arms alongside the body. And in any standing posture, the foundation is our feet. So rather than just standing, press your feet down, connect with the earth, feel that energy draw up the legs. You might feel the kneecaps lift, the fronts of the thighs firm, even the glutes toning, the low belly toning, lifting the center of the heart and lengthening up through crown of the head. On inhalation, sweep your arms out and up. Stretch to the sky. Arms go up, spine goes up. Keep lifting the low belly so the tailbone descends toward the heels. You could keep your gaze forward or feel free to turn your gaze to look up. We'll take 5 breaths more here. Continue grounding through the feet, lifting through the crown of the head. Keep the collarbones broad so we're not crowding the neck. 1 breath more. Good. On exhalation, forward bend, Uttanasana. So hands can walk down the hips or the legs to help along the way. Just folding all the way down Uttanasana. Take a moment, feel into the back of the legs. Please keep the knees as bent as is appropriate for you. If you're feeling pull in the low back, definitely add some more bend in the knees. Now on inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, or half lift. Hands on the shins or on the floor or on your blocks. But find a space where your spine is long, shoulders are away from your ears, and you're lengthening the heart forward. And we'll stay here 10 breaths. I may have failed to mention in our practice today, we'll be doing some longer holds in an effort to allow us the time and space to explore surface or the depth or both. So as we hold the posture, you might notice how over time gravity starts to take over. You might feel your body slink and slouch down. Keep pressing into the feet, keep lengthening the spine. Navel drawing back to the spine to support the low back. And we've got a couple breaths more here. Then transition and make your way to plank pose. So I'm going to move my blocks out of the way, hands to the floor, step the feet back one at a time, maybe come down to the knees first. So plank pose, top of a push-up. Hands underneath the shoulders, fingertips spread wide. You could be right here on your knees, right? This could be a plank variation. You might, if you're feeling stronger today, feel free to lift the knees. 10 breaths here. Find the foundation. The hands are pressing down, so we're energizing the legs, energizing the arms. The low belly is lifting, so the hips aren't sagging down. Your gaze is just slightly out in front of the hands, right? So we're not looking underneath us. Spine nice and long. Take 2 breaths more, please. On exhalation, if knees are lifted, lower the knees, uncurl the toes, hips to the heels for child's pose, and widen your knees out. So we're in a wide knee child's pose variation. By widening the knees, it allows the belly to sink between the thighs, helping us to keep our spine extended and long rather than moving into flexion or rounding the spine. Couple breaths more here. Tune back in if you set an intention, remind yourself. Continuing to stay tuned into sensation, not only the sensation on the surface, but deep down. And please inhale up onto hands and knees, and then you have a choice. We could either take puppy dog pose, which from hands and knees, you'd extend the arms forward and melt the heart down, or downward facing dog. Again, we'll be here about 10 breaths. You choose what works best in your practice. Either way, it's lengthening and extending the spine. Again, bend the knees a bit to release any tension or discomfort or rounding in the low back. Two breaths more. And if you're on your knees, lift the knees, and then everyone will walk your feet forward to the hands. Back to Ardha Uttanasana, or the half lift. Either fingertips on the floor, on the shins, or on your blocks. But a nice flat back, lifting the heart, lifting the chest. Tune back into the ground, the foundation, so the feet are pushing in, legs are still engaged, tailbone and crown of the head are lengthening away from each other, opposite directions. Continue to breathe. Right, the asana is more than just the shape. It's all of the things below the surface as well. Below the surface sensation, it's the breath, it's the consciousness, Where is your mind at? 2 breaths more. Good. On inhalation, hands can support on the thighs, lengthen the heart forward, bring yourself all the way upright, returning to Tadasana, arms alongside the body, rooting down through the heart, through the feet, lifting the heart, lifting the chest, lifting the crown of the head. Reset. Keeping the legs really active. That helps with the bone building. On inhale, sweep those arms back up overhead. Urdhva Astasana. Arms go up, spine goes up. Legs still active, low belly lifting. On your next exhalation, lower the arms all the way down. All right, let's take a wide stance on your mat. And I'll take my blocks and place one on either end of the mat, just in case I'd like to use it. So wide stance on the mat with the feet parallel to begin with. Right? So we'll start with, so I've got 3 standing postures in this wide leg sequence, and we'll hold each of them for, again, about 10 breaths on each side. So wide legs, let's take warrior 2 to your right first. So pick up your left heel, turn it back, and then turn your right toes to the right. Now in our warrior poses, we want the hips to remain neutral. So be mindful of not letting a hip drop down or up, all right? Keep them as neutral as possible. And in any standing posture, just like this, feet are the foundation. So firm into the feet, pressing the feet down, and really especially pressing down into the pinky toe side of that back foot. Activate the legs, so keep drawing that energy up. Now bend your right knee until the right knee is just over the ankle. So we're moving the thigh toward parallel to the floor, but it doesn't need to go there, all right? Once you bend the knee, check the hips, right? Try to keep them in that neutral position. And we're not only pushing the feet down, but there's also this sense of scissoring them together. I like to think about it this way. As you take the legs apart, it's almost like, well, elimination, right? Everything's just kind of dropping right out, including our energy. And if you can scissor those legs together, it's just like kind of holding that energy in for yourself, right? Let's float the arms up parallel to the floor. Turn the palms up to begin with so that we can feel the openness through the chest. And then rather than rotating the whole arm, just turn the palms down. And you're gazing out past right fingertips. And I realize you've already been here for quite a few breaths, so we're going to hold it for 5 more. Last breath here. Lower the arms down, straighten the legs, pivot the feet. We'll take same posture, other side. So the right heel turns back, left toes turn to the left. Check the hips, bend the left knee until the knee is about over the ankle. Pushing down into the feet and scissoring together at the same time. Float those arms up parallel to the floor. Palms up first and then turn the palms down, gazing out past left fingertips. Be mindful of the shoulders. They have a tendency to want to sneak up towards your ears. I always find it really interesting in the longer holds to stay tuned in to what goes on with the thoughts, right? The longer we're here, the more opportunity there is to check out. Stay checked in. Stay tuned into your practice. Good, a few breaths more. And we'll lower the arms down, straighten the legs. Turn your feet back to parallel. If you like a little break with the legs, you can step them together before we go to the next posture. I can really feel mine starting to warm up here. All right, let's come back to your wide stance. Parallel feet. We'll take Parsvakonasana or side angle pose now. Another strong leg posture, asana. Left heel turns back, right toes turn forward. So we start very much the same as warrior two. Now bend your right knee. Knee is over the ankle. And then we have options from here. Bend the elbow, bringing the forearm just above the knee. And we're taking this right hip and we're kind of tucking it under you. That'll help bring your chest and your heart more open. So with the forearm on the thigh, palm face up, we're pressing the forearm down so we keep the right side waist long. Left arm choices. You could keep it right here on the hip. You could bring it to the low back, maybe up to the sky or along the ear. You find the one that works the best for you today. Legs active. Now I know we have all of the weight up here to the right foot, to the right leg. Don't forget about the left one. Keep anchoring that left foot into the floor. Two breaths more, please. Now, push off with your right foot, lift with the left arm, bring yourself all the way up. Feet come back to parallel, and then we'll set up for side two. Right heel turns back, left toes turn out. Bend the left knee. Forearm on top of the thigh, palm up. Same setup here. Even though all of the weight is shifted up to the left foot, right leg stays active. Tucking now left hip under you so the heart stays open, and find the positioning for your right arm. Breathe. So the heart is open. About halfway, about 5 breaths more here. Last breath. You're pushing off with the left foot, pull up with the right arm, bring yourself all the way up, turn those feet to parallel. And once more, step the feet together, give yourself a little bit of a break, shake those legs out, move around a little bit. Trikonasana or triangle poses next. You might like your block for this one. So wide stance first. We'll do the right side first. Left heel turns back, right toes turn to the right. I'm placing the block just outside my right ankle. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. All right, start with the hands on the hips. Now, the first two postures that we did, the hips stay neutral. In triangle pose, Trikonasana, we want the right hip to drop down, that front hip. So right hip drops down. I always think of this kind of like teenage attitude, right? We all know what that is. So the right hip drops down, the left one lifts up. Take your right arm and extend it parallel to the floor, reaching out. Now keep reaching it out. Stay really long through the right side waist. When you've gone about as far as you can, you're probably feeling a nice pull, a nice stretch on the inner thigh on the right side. Let the right arm drop down. So you could rest fingertips on the shin. You could find your block if you like. And again, choices with the left hand. Low back, or a hand to the low back, or you could take the arm up overhead. Good, breathe here. Your gaze could be down to the right foot, forward to the horizon, or up to left fingertips. The anchor, the foundation in triangle pose is pinky toe side of the back foot and big toe mound of the front foot. Two breaths more. Look down to your right foot, bend the right knee, lift up with the left arm, bring yourself up, and we'll take that on side two. So the right heel turns back, the left toes turn to the left. Two straight legs, find your anchor points, pinky toe side of the back foot, big toe mound of the front foot. Energizing the legs, not only pushing down, but scissoring together so you're saving some of that energy for yourself. We take the left arm and we'll extend it out in front or forward. Left arm reaches as the left hip sinks down, and then left fingertips either to the shin, to the block. Keep your spine really long. So as if, not as if, but really, you're separating, making more space between the ribs on the left side, and then kind of shrinking up the right side waist. Find the gaze point that is most appropriate for you. Two breaths more. Look down to the left foot, bend the left knee, pull up with your right arm, bring yourself all the way up and step those legs together, shaking the legs out a bit. I move my blocks out of the way for now. Two more standing postures. All right, really getting into those legs today. So first up, we'll take Vrikshasana or tree pose. Tree pose starts with our foundation, our base pose of Tadasana. So strong legs, push the feet down. As you push the feet down, feel the kneecaps lift, feel the low belly lift, the heart open, opening up through crown of the head. Now stay in mountain pose on your right foot, bend your left knee, and then open the left hip out to the side. So option one, keep the toes on the ground and just rest your left heel on your right ankle. If you'd like, you may also bring this sole of the foot up to the inner calf. As long as it's either above or below the knee, there might be someone out there who wishes to even take this all the way up to foot to the inner thigh. Just not on the knee itself, right? We're either above or below. I'm going to keep my foot actually down on the floor for today. And once you've found the position where you're going to hold, then check things out. You're pushing down into the foot, energizing the legs, both of them, even though the right one's not being used quite as much, we're still energetically squeezing the legs together. Your right hip, we're drawing it in toward your midline and up. And just maybe here, for these last few breaths, your tree grows branches. One breath more. And then we'll slowly release down. Take those legs out. A reset back to Tadasana, mountain pose. So really strong legs. Now stay in mountain on the left leg. Bend your right knee. Open the right hip out to the side. Find the proper placement for your right foot, whether it stays on the ground or you lift it up. Either way, the legs are squeezing together. That gives you a stronger base of support, right? This is tree pose. We want our tree trunk really strong and supportive. Left hip is drawing into your midline. And just maybe you go branches here. You want the advanced variation of this posture. What if you just simply turn the corners of the mouth up? Keep the legs active. Continue to stay tuned in. Notice when gravity starts to take over, we might start to feel ourselves sinking down, push into the earth to lift up more. Last breath here. And we'll lower the arms down. And 2 feet to the floor. Shake it out. Beautiful. If you have a yoga block, grab it for this next posture. If you don't, toes can actually just stay on the ground, or you could use a book or something like that. But I'm going to place the block on the ground just outside my right foot. Well, it's actually my left foot, but mirroring you, it's going to look like it's my right foot. So place it to the outside of the right foot. Again, if you don't have a block, it's not a problem. We can do this certainly without as well. So we'll take Garudasana, or eagle pose, one of my favorite standing postures. Kind of gets us all twisted up, but it's really great not only for leg strength, arm strength, opening the shoulders, but because we're kind of closing ourselves in and squeezing in, it's really great for circulation, especially varicose veins in the legs. Great for that. So let's start by just coming into about a half chair. So we sit the hips back, and I'll turn sideways for a moment. I'm sitting the hips back. I'm not sitting forward, right? We don't want the bum tucking under. We want it sticking back, all right? Low belly is lifting, always protecting the low back. Now, let's pick up your left leg, cross your left leg over your right, just like as if we were sitting in a chair, right? But now I've got my toes kickstanded up on top of the block. Again, if you don't have a block, the toes can just be on the ground, but squeeze those legs together. And as much as possible for you, stay in that chair variation. So we're sinking down, squeezing the legs together. Now we've got the left leg on top. We'll take the left arm under. So arms reach out wide first, and then cross the arms in front of the chest. Left under, right. Variation 1, hands to the shoulders. Depending on how your shoulders are, you might take backs of the hands or even palms together. Now we're squeezing the elbows as well. As you look down at the arms, the right one's on top. So squeeze the right elbow onto the left, lower your shoulders down and lift the elbows up. Good, keep sinking into that chair. Keep breathing. Stay tuned into the breath. Stay tuned into the quality of the breath. One more breath. And on inhale, come all the way up and open out wide. You might be able to even sense and feel kind of that rush of energy as we bring all that fresh blood flow back into the body. All right. If you're using the block, go ahead and move it over to the outside of your left foot. And then find your half chair. We're sitting back into the hips, weights in the heels. Now we're going to bring the weight to the left leg, cross the right one over the left, either kickstand the toes on the block or on the floor. Either way, we're staying a little sunken into our chair and we're squeezing those legs together, right? This is almost like squeezing everything out of a sponge. Yeah, and then when we let go, all of that good nutrient and oxygen comes back in. Right leg is on top, so right arm goes under. Stretch wide first, right arm under left. Find the wrap that works best for you, and then settle in. Looking down at your elbows, the left is on top. Squeeze the left one into the right one into the left. Lift the elbows and draw the shoulders down. Keep squeezing everything in. Grounding down through the feet. Lift the low belly, lift the heart. One more breath. And on inhale, up and open wide. Oh, that feels so great. Phew. If you are using the blocks, you can set those blocks out of the way. And without any fanfare or anything, we're going to find, again, either downward facing dog, if that's in your practice today, or on the knees for child or for puppy dog pose. All right. So just bring yourself down to the mat. Again, if we're in puppy dog pose, we stay on the knees, walk the hands out in front of the shoulders from all fours, and melt the heart down. Be mindful of keeping long spine. If you'd rather take downward facing dog, then just lift the hips up and back. I'm going to stay in puppy dog pose this round, arms extending, active. Whichever variation you're in, the tailbone is lifting and lengthening. One more breath, please. And if you're in downward facing dog, lower your knees to the ground, and then everyone find your belly all the way down onto your belly. Bring your forehead to the floor. We'll take Shalambhasana, and we'll do 3 rounds. Each round, I'll show you a different progression of the posture. Feel free to stay in the first variation if that suits you for all 3 rounds. Each time we move into the posture, the asana, we'll stay for about 5 breaths, okay? So the setup is like this. Forehead is to the floor. The arms are alongside the body with the palms face down. Lift up your legs one at a time, stretch them back, and then root down through the legs. The legs are all the way together. Now we're lying on our belly, so we've got a little bit different sense of foundation. In Shalambhasana or locust pose, the foundation is the pelvis or the front of the hips, right? So press the front of the hips, the pubic bone, press it down into the mat, and then lift the low belly. So you're engaging the low belly while you're pushing the pubic bone and the hips down. All right. Legs are going to stay on the ground and hands will stay on the ground for this first variation. Now roll your shoulders back, lift your chest and look forward. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades together on the back. No holding your breath here. Continue to breathe. Smooth, even breath. Still extending and lengthening and engaging the legs, even though they're not going anywhere. Keep breathing. Keep lifting the chest. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Turn to look to your right so you're on your left cheek. All right, let's take round 2. Forehead back to the floor. Turn the palms down if you flipped them. All right, so round 2, we'll add the legs if you wish. Right, setup is the same. Get the grounding through the front of the hips and the pubic bone, then engage the abdominals. Maintain all of that as you squeeze the shoulders blades together and lift the chest, look forward. Now you could also peel the thighs off the mat. It's not about how high you lift the legs, it's lengthening the legs. So toes and crown of the head moving opposite directions. Remember, you can also keep the feet grounded. 2 breaths more. Exhale, release all the way down. Turn to look the other direction. You can even flip the palms up, give the arms a break, let the shoulders soften and relax. All right, round 3. Set up the same. Forehead to the floor, palms face down alongside the body. Find your ground, your foundation. So press the front of the hips and the pubic bone down, lift the low belly, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest, look forward. Peel the thighs off if you're adding that. If you'd like, also add the arms. Fingertips can reach back to the toes, or you might interlace the hands at the low back. Keep breathing. Keep lifting the belly. Keep grounding down. 2 breaths more. Release everything all the way down. Let's walk your arms forward now. Let the forehead rest on stacked hands. Separate the legs a bit, maybe even shimmy the hips side to side. Hands press under the shoulders. Press yourself up off of the floor and flip yourself over onto your back. So once you come onto your back, we'll set up for Setu Bandhasana or bridge pose. So feet will be on the floor, knees bent, arms alongside the body. And once more, 3 rounds. Each round will hold for about 5 breaths. All right? So the foundation lying on our back for this posture, this asana, bottoms of the feet, backs of the arms, the upper arms, as well as the back of the head. So set your foundation first. On inhalation, press down and lift the hips up. Stay here and breathe, pressing down into the backs of the upper arms, down into the back of the head, down into the feet. If it feels like in your body that your knees are flaring open, put more energy into the inner line of your feet. So big toe mound, inner arch, keeping the low belly lifting to support the low back. 1 breath more. And on exhale, lower all the way down. Pausing for a moment. We'll inhale and lift right back up. Press down to lift, 5 breaths. And exhale, lower all the way down. Once more. Find your foundation, your ground, press down, lift up, 5 breaths. I know holding postures longer allows us to get deeper into the pose, right? It's less surface and more depth, as long as you continue to stay tuned in. Exhale, lower all the way down. Extend your left leg out, hug your right knee into your chest. We'll take a reclined twist. Use the left hand to guide the right knee across the body. Right arm can extend straight out to the side with the palm up or bend the elbow like a cactus. After the last couple of back bending asanas, a twist always feels really lovely. Inhale, untwist. Extend the right leg long, left knee draws in, right hand guides the left knee over to the right side, left arm either extends out or bend the elbow. One more breath. Inhale to untwist. Back onto your back, just like we started here, feet on the floor. We'll take a reclined pigeon or a figure 4 stretch for the outer hip now. Pick up your right foot, cross right ankle over the left knee. If this is enough stress and sensation in the outer hip, stay here. You could also pick up your left leg and interlace hands behind the thigh. 2 more breaths. Lower left foot down, uncross, change to the other side, left ankle over right knee. Either stay here with the foot on the floor or pick it up. Exhale, release down, foot to the floor, uncross, roll to one side or the other, press yourself all the way up to sit. Once you come up to sit, we'll extend the legs out in front of you for Dandasana or staff pose. So 2 straight legs or straight-ish. If you find when you take the legs out, I bet we're doing this kind of thing, being sucked backward, put more bend in the knees. More bend in the knees allows for more extension in the spine. And today, especially with working, I was gonna say working toward osteoporosis, working for it, right? Working against it, maybe, whatever, however we want to look at that. We want to focus on keeping the spine really long, right? Long, tall, extended spine is the safest. So for today, typically when we're in this posture, we might add a forward bend. Today, we're staying upright. Hands either alongside the body with the palms down, or maybe fists down. Legs extended and strong. So our foundation is the legs, the backs of the legs. So firm into the backs of the legs. Toes are drawing towards you. Spine is elongating up. One more breath here. Even in a posture like this, we're still working the legs. Now we'll transition to Upavista Konasana, or a wide leg variation. So I'll turn sideways towards you. Extend the 2 legs out to any degree, right? It doesn't have to be this particular angle. And again, be mindful of not rounding the back. We want to lift the spine and lengthen. So bend the knees as much as you need to make that happen. Fingertips out in front, just right in front of the space of the legs, and we'll stay upright. Alternatively, hands could come just outside the hips as we were a moment ago. Legs are active, grounding into the legs. The more you ground down, the more length and expansion you'll feel in the spine. Right, so this is almost an example of, it is an example of what was mentioned in the reading, right? You might have a posture, an asana, that outwardly looks very simple, like we're not doing very much. But if you're doing all of that inside work and continuing to check in, the legs are active, we're focusing on our breathing to keep the mind clear and to keep present, there's a lot going on here. Let's take one more breath. And hands come to the inner knees, lift the knees to bring the feet to the floor. We'll do a little bit of setup for the next posture. We'll actually come down to get reclined. So here's some things that you could do. The posture is Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle pose. You might use your blankets to support the upper body so the heart is lifted. So I'm just taking my 2 blankets and stacking them one in front of the other. You could lie on top of blocks, bolsters, cushions, whatever you like. So my butt will stay on the ground, and I'll lie myself back so the head, shoulders are supported. So we're getting just a little bit of a supported back bend. And then soles of the feet together so the knees open. Now, if this causes any pull or stress on the inner thighs and groins, if this is too much, this is a great use of your blocks, is to take the blocks and support underneath the outer thighs. So it's a more restorative variation. Arms alongside the body with the palms up. And we'll take 10 long, deep breaths here. When the mind wanders, and it's probably going to, back to using your anchors, your intention, awareness of the breath or sensation. Another great example of a posture that looks effortless from the outside, but there's still a lot of inner work. And we're continuing to stay focused on the breath, to stay present. Two more breaths, please. If you're using props under the knees, just slide them out of the way. Lift the knees up so feet are on the floor. Roll to your side. Press up so you can remove any props that are underneath you. Set those off to the side as well. And come to lying back down on your back. Next posture is Viparita Karani, or legs up the wall pose. If you don't have a wall handy, just simply take the legs up right in the center of the mat where you are now. If you have a wall, I have one right here. I can just flip around and take the legs up the wall. But you do what works best in whatever situation you have for your yoga practice today. If the legs are floating up in the center of your mat, you may choose to either rest the legs on one another, so they're resting together, or separate them. And the legs are effortlessly just floating up like little blades of seagrass. Arms can either be by your sides with the palms up. We haven't done a lot for opening the chest, so you may wish to take the arms and stretch them up overhead. This is one of my favorite postures. Really lovely to do anytime you need a break during the day or at the end of a long day. Just releasing tension, stress from the legs, reversing the blood flow, the flow of lymph. We're up all day on the feet, whether we're sitting or standing. Great way to just reverse things. You might even be able to sense and feel the draining of the legs. Just letting go of all tension and holding. Let's take a few breaths more here. If the arms are overhead, bring them alongside the body. If you're up at the wall, just slowly roll yourself off the ball. Our last asana is Shavasana. So bend the knees, let the feet find the earth. And then extend your legs out. Turn the palms up by your sides. Eyes soften and close if they're not already. Take a moment as you settle into Shavasana and scan the body, head to toe. Notice what's there now. Maybe notice what's not. Sometimes I like to even do like a little mini review of the practice. Not only the postures, but maybe tuning into how you moved through your reactions, your interpretations, especially as we held postures longer. Did you find it difficult to stay tuned in and to stay present? Right? Did you use your tools, your breathing, your intention? And we're not judging, just noticing. And that's how we can tell the yoga is working. And now just let everything go and simply allow both body and mind to rest. If you have time for a longer Shavasana, I invite you to stay as long as you wish. If you're like me, maybe have other things to get to today. Let's start to wiggle fingers and toes, bring the energy back to the body. Bend the knees, hug them into the chest, and then rock to one side or the other. Press yourself all the way back up to sit. Sitting tall on your mat, maybe even with eyes still closed. Joining hands in Anjali Mudra, palm against palm, as you bow chin to your chest. Taking a moment for gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for taking this time for you today. And thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me today. Namaste. See you next time.